Hey, it's Dwight Jr here with Cliff Construction. We're back on site at another home build here in downtown Indianapolis. And actually, we're in the beautiful Kennedy King neighborhood, and we're about to deliver another beautiful home to an awesome, deserving family. And so we finally got the foundation in. This is one of the first steps of building a home. And you know what we got to do? We got to do a quality control check. And we got a special guest to help us out today. Got my little brother, Jarrett. He's here going to help us out. And what we're going to do is actually make sure that one, our foundation is square, but also we have the correct limbs, and then also making sure that everything's kind of set and level. And so let's go ahead and get to it. We'll make sure that the foundation is straight. Then we're gonna make sure it's square. And then I want to check the height, make sure that once we start to add our floor joists back in here, that everything levels out and is on plane. All right, so right now we have step one of quality control for our foundation check. And so what we need to do is verify the measurements that we have out here in the field matches what we have here on the plans, because the last thing we want to do is shortchange our clients, but also everything here in construction is consequential. And what I mean by that, everything kind of rolls downhill. One part affects the next part. And so if this foundation is correct, a lot of other things aren't going to be correct. And so this measurement here should actually be 46 foot. So let's go ahead and grab that measurement and see what we got. It doesn't get much better than that. That's why you hire the pros. 46 foot on the money, baby. All right, and now Jarrett is gonna walk to the other side of the foundation here. We're gonna check the depth. And if we did our numbers correctly, we should be at 28'8". All right, so we're exactly 28'8", which is really good because that means we passed quality control check number one. Our foundation measures out to exactly what we have on the plans. And so the next step in our quality control check is really just kind of walking through and making sure that we have our anchor bolts in all the locations. One of the major code items on foundations is anchor bolts, making sure that we have at least our anchor bolts are not more than 1 foot off of each corner. And then we also like to place our anchor bolts 3 to 4 foot from each other. And so what the anchor bolts actually do as a function, they hold the house down to the foundation. And so they play a major role and not to be overlooked. Let's get to the next check. What Jarrett's doing now is doing a visual observation of the foundation, checking for one, making sure that we have our washers on our anchor bolts, but two, having our nuts, because if we don't have either one of those, we can't attach the house to the foundation properly. And not to mention, once our team gets out here to start framing up this house, we won't have the right items in the right place. And so, as I mentioned earlier, everything is consequential. With this foundation system, we're using a system of center piers that are going to carry our girder beam. And so a lot of houses are built differently. That's how we're building this house here, with center piers and girder beams. And without getting too wordy or technical, what we're actually doing on a quality control check is making sure that our floors are going to sit flat, nice and level, that our cabinets are going to be level. Because again, everything in construction is consequential. So if we don't get this right, some things are going to be right down the line. And so what I'm looking for here is that we're using a 12-inch LVL to carry as a girder beam that ultimately our floor joists are going to sit on top of. And so it's the floor system below the floor system. And so if we did this correctly, this should be 12 inches. And it looks like we're right on the money. And so what we're going to do is set an 1.5-inch treated plate here, and then an 1.5-inch treated plate here. And then we're going to set that LVL plate on top of that. And that's still going to give us 12 inches, and everything's going to be on plane. And that's going to allow us to run our floor system on top of that girder beam. And so, again, make sure that our floors are nice and level and flat. And then another key point in foundations, and that you don't want to overlook as well, is to make sure that you don't have a 12-inch concrete porch, that your steps are super big. This will help eliminate that. And so, instead of leaving this no block here, we always put a half block in on our porches to make sure that we end up with just like a 6-inch porch or 4-inch porch. And so, because ultimately we're going to use 10-inch floor joists over here. And as you can see, we're probably going to have at least a 4-inch porch based on where we're sitting at with the 10-inch floor joists. So again, Quality control checks are really important throughout the duration of construction. This is just the one that we perform for the foundation. If you're in the Indianapolis area and you want to make sure that your building contractor is performing routine quality control checks intermittently throughout the build to provide you with a quality home, go to our website right now at www.cliffconstruction. Go to the get a quote form, get that form filled out, and we'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.